Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Mistress of the Damned. I am your Mistress Katrina. Good to see you here. How are you today? If you are new here, hello. Welcome. Glad to see you. Nice to meet you. This is where I am reading through my enormous library of books that is currently boxed up. You might be able to see the flooring I have behind me, which is going in next week. And then hopefully after that I'll get the books back on the walls and shelves. It's a process. Anyways, I'm reading through my enormous library of books, and then I review them. I give you a synopsis, tell you what I think of them. So if you like books, if you're not sure what to read next, just want a quick rundown before deciding what to read next, hit that subscribe button. Like and share my videos. Let me know what you think in the comments. You can also leave suggestions in the comments. I am always open. Always looking to buy more books, because I don't have enough. Anyways, this week's book is Who Stole Feminism by Christina Hoff Sommers. This book landed on my to-be-purchased and read pile after I stumbled across Dr. Sommers' YouTube channel, The Factual Feminist. And I was just kind of blown away by how intelligent and articulate Dr. Sommers is. So, because I support people whose ideas I like, I bought her books. Well, plural, yes. I've only read one this week because I'm only reading one a week, and this week's book was Who Stole Feminism, which I think was her first book. And this book just kind of blew my mind. I mean, I always knew that the Looney Tunes extremists that were kind of the very vocal, screeching face of feminisms were really fucking crazy. Dr. Sommers did a deep dive into just how crazy and then deconstructed it. And what's really crazy is this book was written in 1994. 1994. It's 30 years old almost. Ooh. Every single point she addresses is still being screeched about by the wackadoos. And yes, I am aware calling people names is counterproductive. But frankly, if I don't joke about it and call them names, this video is just going to end up being a long screech of just rage at how profoundly manipulative these ideals are. It's just insane. And it's been controlling education and public policy since the mid-1980s. I mean, no joke. Mid-1980s this shit show started. It's fucking crazy. Basically, the feminist movement, the good feminist, my version, the good feminists, Dr. Summer calls them equity feminists, meaning they just want to be parity with the men. They want the same rights and privileges men have, which we do, incidentally. I feel like this is an important point to make. We have reached equity. All right, the laws do equally apply. They may not be equally applied, and that's a separate matter, but we do have equity. In the mid-19th century, they wanted the right to vote. They wanted the right to own property, the right to education, the rights to sit on juries and be considered part of the community. And that's logical. It's a consistent ideal to seek, and they did it. I mean, it took 60 years, but they fucking did it, right? That's why have the freedoms we have today. Dr. Sommers recounts an episode in early feminist history, so 1869, where a domestic worker, Hester Vaughan, got impregnated by her boss and was promptly fired because, of course, you fuck the maid, you get her pregnant, and then you fire her. That's how things were done in the 19th century. When Hester gave birth alone in her room, she passed out afterwards because she was alone in her room. Well, it was cold, it was winter, the baby froze to death before she could wake up. She was arrested, charged with murder, was not represented by a lawyer, was not permitted to testify in her own defense, right? So that's that equal protection under the law, was convicted by an all-male jury and sentenced to death. The feminists of the day, which included Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, which my history on this is a little leery. Susan B. gets all the love, but Elizabeth Cady Stanton started it. She started the feminist movement and branched out. There was a war between them. They rallied together. They got that conviction overturned. All right, that's justice. Hester Vaughan was a true victim, and they got justice for her. I mean, you compare it to the feminist literature of today that only resonates on college campuses, and it's so far removed, what's taught today, from actual feminism. It's unrecognizable. It's why the feminist movement seemed to be fading in the late 20th century, because women who know that they're equal with men and deserve the same rights and privileges saw this shrieking mass, and we're like, oh, I don't want any part of that. That's just nuts. I don't think so. That's just no, thank you, no. And so, of course, the feminists blame them. So they were complicit in their own brainwashing. That she goes into that. Dr. Sommers goes into that. Dr. Sommers calls this shrieking morass of outrage and victimhood gender feminism. Oh, that's special. Apparently the sun's coming up, and I got this line of lights coming down my face. No, it didn't help. Gender feminism is full of misandry and victim ideology. It's weird, right? Weird. Book was written in 1984. They're all victims. We've all been victims for the last 30 years since the book was written. 40, 50 years you take into account. God, 50 years. Ugh. Okay. Anyways, being a victim has reigned supreme among ideologues from at least the 1980s. And it's found new wind with social justice warriors, right? 21st century, yeah, if you're not a victim, then you don't count. So yeah, gotta have that strong hand in victim poker, which my own hand is frankly shit because, yes, I'm a woman, but that's all I got going for me. It's like holding a single ace. It's just no good, right? So anyways, critical race theory, BLM, right? All of those. If you're not a victim, you ain't shit. And of course, feminists still claim the top spot as victim supreme because women, we are so weak, we can't possibly be anything but a victim. You see the roots of all this in this careful deconstruction. She just takes it apart. It's amazing. She digs into the insanity and exposes the horror, inconsistency, and just the house of lies upon which modern feminism is built. And some of the lies she tackles are that girls experience decreased self-esteem when they enter puberty. Turns out we really don't. Not seriously. Boys experience favoritism in the classroom to the detriment of girls. Again, not so much. Women experience more depression than men. That survey was especially fascinating because she actually printed the results in her book, and it turns out that was a dead lie. Women are happier single than married. Also a lie. The wage gap. She tackles that. It's impressive. And that wage gap, incidentally, was not nearly as bad as they said it was in 1994 and has closed even more. In fact, it's virtually non-existent. 1 in 4 women are raped. Lies. Backlash, anorexia, domestic violence figures. Now, what's really interesting is she doesn't downplay the seriousness of any of these, okay? She acknowledges that rape is awful. It's truly awful. That anorexia is a horrifying disease to struggle with, that domestic violence is mind-bogglingly horrifying. But she acknowledges that all of those things are true while going over the actual figures of what's happening. I think the hardest one she had were both domestic violence largely, because the numbers are so skewed because they only look at violence against women. They don't look at violence against men. Women hit men too, guys, gals. It happens, and it's awful, all right? Your gender does not preclude you from being an actual victim, not just identifying as a victim, but being an actual victim. The rape statistics, the language that was used in the surveys was so broad, and that's how they got to that 1 in 4 figure, but it doesn't meet the legal definition of rape, which they touted. Oh, it's the legal definition of rape. No, it's not. The best statistics for rape are still compiled by the Bureau of Justice, FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Bureau of Justice. They have the best figures on rape. They are not 1 in 4. And yes, I understand that not all rapes go reported. I do. I get that. And Dr. Sommers also goes over that no, not all rapes are reported. But here's the thing. It's touted on college campuses that 1 in 4 women will be raped, right? And that's the big scary thing. That's what makes college so scary for women, apparently, is that you could be raped at any moment. Well, the actual figures on college campuses are like 2 women per 1,000 reported rapes. All right? I mean, it's just the numbers are not there to support this panic figure. Where they are high are in inner cities. You look at New York, Detroit, Chicago, places like that. And I don't mean white suburban neighborhoods. I mean, you go down into ghetto areas where they're high crime anyways. Turns out criminals rape. All right. It's not just men. Men. All right. There's certainly, sure. Okay. Only men rape. What about woman on woman rape? You think that doesn't happen? Men on men rape? That's my tangent on that one. It's a hot topic because it's bullshit, but it gets touted and used to make men look like the bad guys, because it turns out modern feminists don't like men. They don't. They think that anybody who voluntarily engages in sex with their husband is being raped because, he's a man and you can't possibly agree because you're a woman. I don't know if that's true. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I am lucky enough that this madness did not hit schools until after I had graduated from high school. And when I was going through college, it had not yet reached my campus. But I have heard every single one of these claims in the intervening years, from 1994 to present. 30 years we've been hearing these lies. And Dr. Sommers ran down the source for each and every one of these rumors and deconstructed it, giving full credit to those who are incredulous enough to start the investigation, but she sadly placed too much faith in our elected officials to do their own research. They have staffs of hundreds. Every single one of our elected officials has their own staff of hundreds, and not a single one of them bothered to research this themselves before just passing laws, handing money over to ideologues, and letting them change the course of our entire educational system based on lies. The short uptake is the surveys, and all of these were done by surveys, not even Bureau of Justice Statistics. They just surveyed women. But findings they were based on were seriously flawed. The questions they asked were slanted to get a specific response. They handpicked who they asked so that they could be sure of answers. They interpreted the data to match what they wanted, sometimes bluntly lying about the results. And why would they do that? Why would they misrepresent those findings? Probably because the findings did not support their hypothesis. That's bad science, right? But they don't want science because women know these things, are vaunted intuition. Hey, look, I'm a fan of intuition, but intuition only works if it's backed by actual knowledge, and you get knowledge by learning. And here they're saying, no, because the way science is currently laid out is a part of the patriarchy, right? I'm not sure if I'm even saying that word right because it's so foreign to me. I've never blamed a man for my own fuck-ups. I don't get that thought. But anyways, it's just bad science. It's good to have a hypothesis, but if your findings don't support your hypothesis, you change the hypothesis, not the findings to suit the story you're trying to tell. And that's why we're kind of spiraling downwards with science these days. The feminist movement pretends that all knowledge prior to the 1970s is part of the patriarchy, rather than building on the knowledge of the past. Gender feminists, modern feminists, they seek to alter the past to fit the narrative they're trying to sell. I don't even know what to say to that. It's so dishonest, it's disgusting. This book was eye-opening. It was frustrating to read through. I can only imagine how frustrating it must have been for Dr. Sommers to just kind of boldly walk through the valley of misandry for us and tell us what she found. That's just bold. And she's still attacked for it daily, for having been brave enough to do so. I highly recommend this book. It is an excellent resource for fighting back against feminist myths that prevail even today. A lot of the data hasn't changed. It's like once they publish the false findings, they just trust on history and intellectual laziness to bury it under the weight of their own lies. It's mind-boggling. And that's it for this week. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next week, we're going to be ultra spiritual with JP Sears. Talk to you later. Bye.